I cannot live without it.
It's electric.
It
Boogie
is
woogie
electric.
woogie. Dude, when did you find out that that was about a vibrator?
I in my 20s.
Really? See, I don't think I found it out that early. I honestly think I was older than that.
It was like
Like,
I'm not talking like early 20s. It might have been like late 20s at a wedding drunk, and someone was like, "Is this about a vibrator?" I'm like,
and
start listening, start doing the dance. Like, yeah, I think it is.
I'm still kind of skeptical though, Mike, because I do I went back and listened to it, and and there's some parts that could definitely be a vibrator, but there's other
Yeah.
parts that don't really make sense as well. So I don't know. I don't know if the electric
You know
slide
what?
is a
I'm going with it. I am going with it, and because I think it's just you know what?
guy.
I think it's great. I hope it is because everyone at a wedding,
Well,
is
a
dancing
wedding. I
about
remember being in like the school
go dance.
dances,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and the kids were doing the electric. I mean, I was against the wall sitting there, like a dork, but
I was at home all alone and lonely.
playing with your electric slide.
Oh, I was playing with my
Good
electric
morning,
slide.
everybody. Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 487
Oh my
of
lord.
the Two Dumb Yinzers, everybody. 487. Mike, wow, 487, just 13 short episodes
Oh,
away.
that's
It's
it's
looking
nuts.
it's looking as the big day is going to be the day after the Super Bowl. What a week that's going to be,
Be
everybody.
great. That's gonna be an awesome week.
Episode 500, the big 500. Um
You know what's not going to be awesome about that week? Originally my work schedule was I was going to be off Monday. I was like, oh yeah, baby, I can get party for the Super Bowl. And it turns out no, we had to do
oh
some
man.
rearranging. It's for a legit reason. So I'm
No,
like,
there's no legit reason. What is more important than the 500th episode of the Two Dumb Yinzers is what I want
and
to.
being able to watch the Super Bowl the night before.
Yeah, what are we dealing with, and how do I
Yeah,
eliminate this
I know.
problem?
Well, if you can get someone into surgery a couple days early.
I could kill them beforehand.
Nah.
Could
My,
have
my
them.
it's my coworker, my peer, my quasi boss's, wife is having surgery, and I kind of like this guy, so
I could have her knocked off. Yes,
I'll
but
run it
anyway,
by him. I'll run it
yeah, run
by
it
him
by him.
tomorrow.
See
I'll
if
run
that
it by
flies.
him.
Because that is the the biggest show yet. Everybody, 500. Mike, I'm
Like
still.
I'll be here, but I'll be angry because I had to go to work for like 4 hours.
Yeah, I gotta. We're gonna have to put some. We're putting some plans together. We're gonna try to do some fun things that week. Throughout the week, we'll make it a whole deal. So you work on that on your end. You just let me know.
It's
Let
out
me
of my hands.
let me know if I have to go get my OJ gloves and throw snowballs at these people. Whatever it takes.
Throw snowballs.
Whatever it takes. How are you today, man?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling a lot better than I have been recently. I'm ready to go, babe.
Well, I
I'm
do
ready to
know.
do this show.
Well, Derpy, he was here and then he wasn't, and then he's texting me saying he crashed on his end and he's hooking up. Up, there he goes. I see him. I see him trying to log in now. Derpy, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Derpy,
Perfect.
Derpy, are you here? Can you
I
hear
am
me?
here.
Do you need my assistance?
No.
No, you missed a whole bunch so far. We've already talked about vibrators. We talked about um, putting a hit out on somebody.
Yeah, it's been an eventful like 3 minutes.
It's been eventful.
It has been an eventful three
But
minutes.
Derpy, this is episode 487. We have just 13 more shows to the big 500. As I told Mike, it looks like it's going to be the day after the Super Bowl, so it's going to be a big event week. We're going to have the Super Bowl on Sunday, then the 500th show will be on Monday, and then throughout that week we're going to do some things, have some different people on, and it's going to be a blast. So get ready for that, Derpy.
What
Mark
is
it on
what
your calendar, and I
mark
swear
it on your calendar.
if you have to go
The
get any
day
kind of
after the Super Bowl?
yeah,
Yeah.
and if you have to go get any kind of surgery or anything in the meantime, try to make sure it's a complete emergency.
Wouldn't it be wild? We're celebrating our 500th episode while Lamar Jackson is hoisting up the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
Oh god, no! It's gonna be Detroit, guys. I
It's going to be
do
Detroit.
this.
It's going to be Brock Mother Purdy
No.
up there.
It's going to be Taylor Swift and Eminem.
See now if the NFL was smart, if it really was scripted, it would be KC versus Detroit, and then the halftime show would be Eminem and Taylor Swift concert. Like,
I'd be okay with that.
That would be, come on, screenwriters. I am sober and I came up with this. I know you guys have much better recreational pharmaceuticals than I can get a hold of. You should have thought about this from day one. I don't know what you're missing out.
Guys, if it's any indication on what kind of year it's going to be as far as numbers on the Super Bowl, the AFC divisional round game between the Bills and the Chiefs was the most watched divisional round game in NFL history with 50.39 million viewers in that game. I think this year is going to be huge as far as the Super Bowl. But as I said, get it in, because it seems like the Netflix and all these other streaming app channels are taking over Monday Night Raw, as we mentioned yesterday, is going to Netflix in January. So it's not going to be long. There's so much money to be made in this, and it's going to be a copycat deal where,
yep.
You know what, the Super Bowl has so much money that could possibly be made by putting it on one of these streaming channels. So as I said, enjoy it now, because it's going to get to the point. You know what, Mike? I think it could be as early as next year. Nobody said it, but look at the way.
Surprised me.
Right. Because Monday Night Raw still, after all these years, packs those stadiums. They still got gazillion viewers. I don't know how many they do, but they're doing really well. And if that's any indication, a lot of people is going to be willing to pay that or have that service to watch Monday Night Raw. I promise you, if not next year, it's going to be the following year. Super Bowl will be on a pay-per-view kind of a base. And I don't know if I care for this, but it is where we're at nowadays, guys.
Yeah, it sucks. And you know what? Some of these streaming services I already subscribe to, so it's, I'm already paying it, so it's not an extra cost to me. But the people who don't have Peacock, don't have whatever CBS has, don't have whatever the streaming service like Fox has. So you have to go out of your way and spend money for it. This NFL, and it should be on broadcast TV. It's always been that way, but you got to chase the almighty dollar, and you have to, WWE is now setting the precedent, and now that's going to be the industry standard. Okay, they're doing it not just for their main events, their main pay-per-view, but for their weekly
exactly
shows. So we're going to hop onto that at least for the Super Bowl. All eyes on it. That's a worldwide audience.
And if you think about it, the next natural step would only be to eventually wrap their games up throughout the season. You know what I'm saying? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for the broadcasting companies, because look at the situations being made. Look at the money that's being made. Hey, we're going to put Raw on Netflix. Everybody is going to do it. Again, this is a major successful company, the WWE is. So, as I said, you could kind of follow the dollar. You could usually find a lot of your answers in life by following the dollar. And I think that's what you're getting here. Again, I don't give it that long for the Super Bowl. And after that, you know what? I mean, we already watch playoff games and other things on these channels, Mike. It won't surprise me at some point that it's going to be the entire NFL season, which people might say, which is bullshit. But on the other hand, it's where the dollar is going. If you follow the dollar, you're going to find that answer.
Because the game, they already have the game streaming on there. You can, if I'm watching at my house and I don't want to be downstairs watching the game on the TV down there, I would be up in my room just chillax, and I'll turn on the Xbox and fire up the Peacock app, and boom, watch the game or whatever network I'm on. So they're already there, but like you said, it's only a matter of time before it's just exclusively on there. Because you're going to get their advertising dollars anyway. There's going to be commercials on there as well, so they're not going to lose any money that way.
Well, you know what else? The fact that the transfer from the corded phone to the cordless phone to the cell phone to the fact that everyone lives off their phone, if that's any indication on the way that they're going to cut cable, it's going to cable is going to be a thing of the past. Everyone's going to be like, I'm not doing this. This is stupid. As everybody did when the cell phones came around, and now everybody can't live without their cell phone. It's a process, and it's going to take time. But I guarantee the regular cable as we know it's going to be done before you know it, and it's all going to be simplified. And as I said, how many people when the cell phone thing was taken off, "Oh, I don't want one of them," especially older people. But
Yeah.
now you can find many older people in your life who do nothing but mess around on their phone. So, it's just a matter of time, guys. Again, you follow the dollar, you can answer pretty much any question in life.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, I already have all these streaming services anyway. So to me, it's no big deal. But for people who don't have it, it's gonna suck for them because that's an added expense they have to have.
But again, I mean, it's gonna do something like
Yeah.
like apps and things like this, where at the beginning everyone's gonna be like, "Dude, I'm done with football." That's what people
See,
are gonna say.
I want to be able to like how
I'm
the
not gonna
NFL,
watch any more football. If NFL wants me to watch, they're gonna do it on regular
yeah,
TV. But again, that's where the cell phone started, and there's not a
yeah,
person that doesn't have one in the on them or around them at this very moment.
yeah. Okay, and I think like the NFL, they have a thing too where like you can pay to where I think you can get access to all the games and you also get the access to the all 22 overhead
Right,
footage. I think it's
right.
like $100 a season, for like film heads and just like junkies. People are all over that, and that's what I'm gonna do too. So that way, I can sit there and watch every game at my own
And what are
leisure.
you gonna
But like
do, Mike?
for the average fan who just wants to come home and sit down on the couch and watch the game on a Sunday,
And
having
what
the
are you gonna
extra
do
steps
when
going
that's
to take a
all there
while.
is? When that's all there is? Like,
Yeah.
are you gonna be the person that has a rotary phone right now in
I will have my
2024?
bunny ears. I will have my bunny ears on my
You
TV.
see
I'll
what
be
I'm
getting my
saying?
janky
It
satellite.
doesn't
I'll be
matter
fine and
what
just sitting.
people say, what people think, what
Oh, they're
people
gonna do it.
they're gonna do it. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen. They're
And
gonna do it.
especially, the NFL right now, it's king, man, and people are still, like you said, man, the most popular divisional round in NFL history.
All that for a ride, right?
All that for a Patrick Mahomes masterclass therapy and another Bills choke. Who doesn't like to watch the Bills choke? It's great.
I
It's
enjoy
epic.
it.
I think it's great. You know.
Guys, the Chiefs signed Anthony Miller, former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver, to a reserve future deal. Anthony Miller, Mike, he was he any good? I don't even remember.
No, no.
Yeah.
He maybe had like a couple preseason games where he kind of like, oh, but now he's one of those guys that's just going to be bouncing around forever.
What else? We got the Pittsburgh Steeler news. Mike today or yesterday, Mike Munchak, I found out was open to returning to select locations. Of course, the former Steelers offensive line guru, Mike
Mhm.
Munchak. Mike,
He ever since he left, the Steeler fans have been pining for him to come back. I,
do you think we're one of
he
the?
would
Do you think
because
we're one of those select locations?
we could be we could be. He liked his time here from everything that I've read. But he went out west, I think, to be with his grandkids. They were younger, were going to college. So he wanted to be closer to them. And then he was coach with the Tennessee Titans. Then he got fired, and then he just stepped away from the game. Now, like he's saying he's ready to come back, but select locations. And one of the places that they're talking about is Tennessee, and Pittsburgh's being rumored in there as well. But he will always be rumored to Pittsburgh because he apparently had great success here. But when you have Le'Veon Bell as your running back and Ben Roethlisberger as your quarterback, you don't need a stellar offensive line. But he is a great offensive line coach, and I think he would help someone like Roger Jones accelerate his growth. Pat Myers, who we have now, our line has gotten better every year as the season has gone on. We've changed the lines, big components of the line the past 2 years. Well, he's turned Dan Moore into a serviceable left tackle. Not a great left tackle, but serviceable.
Cliff Kingsbury also, guys, will be by to talk. I don't know if he's came by or he's coming by to talk to the
Yeah,
Pittsburgh Steelers
I
about their
saw that.
open offensive coordinator position. He's also interviewing with Philadelphia. Of course, they just cleaned house. They're looking for a bunch of coaches too. Mike, Cliff Kingsbury.
Um, as a coordinator, yeah, I wouldn't want him as a head coach. We saw like when he was down there with Arizona. Him and Kyler Murray, they had pretty good offenses down there. Just from what I remembered, I do my due diligence. They dig down deep into how their numbers wise were, but they had pretty good offense, pretty good records down there. But they kind of choked in the playoffs. So he'd fit right in. He'd fit right in in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the
But it's someone
Cardinals.
who has like his offenses, they weren't behind the times. They're always like with the times. So, I think it's another good interview. Um, I might want someone from like the McVay coaching staff, but I would be upset if he became offensive coordinator.
It's always hard to look at coaches that coach bad teams and
Yeah,
say, well, look what they did here and look what they did there. I mean, there's just teams that are just traditionally bad. With
yeah,
Arizona, with the exception of one, maybe two seasons that I could remember my whole entire life was was a competitive team. Was this the case of every single coach that coached there being a bad coach,
yeah,
or is this the case of it's just not a successful organization and it's hard to coach there? So that those kind of things are difficult. And a lot of these guys you see coming up, they're guys that were part of
yeah,
failed coaching
yeah,
staffs in Carolina, failed coaching staffs in Washington. And it's really hard.
yeah.
Like a guy like Ron Rivera, the guy that was in Chicago.
Mm,
Well, that's always been a pretty bad organization, and everywhere he's coached has always been bad. So is it Ron Rivera is just a bad coach, or is he just taking these jobs and getting these jobs in places that are very difficult to coach for whatever reason? Again, they're just traditionally bad. There's nothing that anybody's
yeah,
been able to do through the course of my life that's ever been able to change that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Like in Arizona, his first year they were 5-10-1. Second year 8-8, nice little turnaround. Then they went 11-6, and then they crapped the bed in the playoffs. And then that last year, there at the wheels just fell off the wagon in 2022. They went 4-13. So he, started off bad, improved, and then tanked. But like you said, those are some bad teams in Arizona.
So that's why it's so hard to tell. It's so hard to figure that out. And you get guys that are thrown into good
Yeah,
franchises, and it makes them look a lot better than what they are. So it's so hard to tell with coaching sometime, um, especially from the outsiders perspective.
yeah,
Guys like us, people that watch the game, people that aren't in the meetings, people that aren't in the front office, people that
mhm,
aren't, I mean, these people know the real deal. They know, people within the system that they talk to. So it's hard from the outside to really tell about guys like this. But one thing that we do know for sure, guys, is we do have to bring in an offensive coordinator at some
yep,
point between now and next season.
Mhm.
There's still a lot of names moving around. There's still a lot of faces that are brought up. There's still, people are, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be
yeah,
crazy. And it's going to fall into that category, Mike, of something that's going to be extremely interesting to follow from here
yeah.
until the preseason comes around. And again, with the draft, free agency, hiring these coaches, a lot of Pittsburgh Steeler news to be happening here over the off
Ooh, yeah,
season.
yeah, and more Pittsburgh Steelers news, the better, because Mike loves talking about the Steelers. I love talking about the Steelers.
So,
But no, I saw a comment from your buddy on the radio station. He was like, "Oh, the Steelers they're going to interview all these guys, and then they'll hire whoever doesn't get hired by the rest of the opening, so they'll hire some bum."
who?
Your buddy, the Blob.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. He was like, all the good ones, the Steelers are gonna let all the good ones get hired, and then they'll hire Byron Leftwich.
Yeah. I heard they're not interested at all in him.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Like everyone in the organization's like, no,
A
unless he's
guy,
bringing along Tom Brady with him, and Tom Brady, went to a time machine. Then yeah,
Joey Porter, guys, has been named to the PFWA Writers All Rookie Team. Guys, Joey Porter.
yeah,
Um,
well deserved.
you
Well
know,
deserved.
I'd like to get somebody that opposite side of him, somebody that's a real kind of a hawk cornerback.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because Joey's only got 2 interceptions in his last 5 seasons of organized football. I you know what I mean?
but like you notice that like they're not going through his hands. He's not letting the receiver catch the ball. But I get what you're saying. I don't want another Ike Taylor.
Yeah. And, there's nothing bad about Ike Taylor. It's good, to have a guy that was good
Yeah,
like that. But
shut down quarterback. You want someone to be able to
point,
pick a pick.
yeah, I mean, there's picks and it's becoming a passing league, and interceptions are just a
Yeah.
part of the game. But I don't get me wrong, Joey Porter, congratulations on being named to the PFWA Writers All Rookie Team. Also, guys, TJ Watt named the AFC Defensive Player of the Year for the third time. This first happened in 2020, then again in 2021, and then also this year.
And then he'll lose to Miles Garrett.
And then he'll lose to Miles Garrett, who's also in the AFC.
You're right
yeah.
about
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. Exactly. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. It makes 0 cents. It's what two different voting pools of writers and stuff, but like
When do they do that? When's the
there's the award ceremony after the Super Bowl, I think, or Super Bowl
after?
week or some shit like that. But
Yeah,
you already got like people like Peter King saying he already voted. He had TJ Watt at third place based off of like PFF stats.
yeah. There you
Really?
go.
Like,
There
come
it
on
is.
now. Like they have like good advanced analytics that teams use, but they don't look at them for their grades. They don't look at their pass rush rate and all that
That's
stuff.
like
Because
getting life advice from reading the comics. You know what I
exact.
mean?
Hey, hey,
I know, I know.
you
You base
know,
your life around Ziggy, but you know what?
yeah.
That isn't going to
Thank
help
you,
us here.
thank you. I couldn't think of a good comic.
TJ Watt also he gave an Army vet a Super Bowl trip, guys. A Super Bowl trip was presented by TJ Watt. Pretty
That's
nice
awesome.
gesture.
So what you need to tell me is T.J. Watt hates the Space Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the
Well, no,
tells
I
me?
saw that. Good job, T.J.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Good for him.
Could have
Uh,
given me the ticket.
we are gonna do today, our guys, our final grades of the season for the Steelers. Of course, you notice we haven't done the grades. We didn't do them for the last game of the
Yeah.
year. The reason for that was because, well, I was disgusted after the Buffalo
No,
game.
no, we did. We were re-rated them, didn't we?
No, we didn't rate the
No.
team after the game. So
No.
today, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go in and we're gonna grade the season and what you guys think and how it played out throughout the year through all the positions like we do every week. Just a couple other notes and things I
Yeah.
do want to hit on first, guys. One side note in the NFL, this one's kind of caught my attention while we're talking Bills. Von Miller was paid $14.9 million this season. He finished with 0 sacks and 5 tackles in the 14 games he played. That equals $2.98 million a tackle is what he made this year. $3 million
And
bucks to make 5 tackles.
is that counting the tackle he put on his wife, girlfriend, significant other, whatever she was?
Yeah, more than likely. But listen to
Yeah,
that.
you got to factor that into there as well.
0 sacks,
Like
5 tackles, made $15 million.
he fucking fell off big time this year.
What's his deal? I mean, he played 14 games. It wasn't like he was hurt or what's I mean,
Well,
compared to the guy that I
he
seen
wasn't
play
he
in the
was
Super Bowl for Denver, that's a totally different
yeah.
player.
Yeah, he was hurt and then all the off field issues too. So he I think he dressed for the games but really didn't play a whole lot. Yeah. He had those big off field issue that kind of marred his season and then injuries and then just he's been in the league for a long time now and he's finally caught up with him.
Next year's Super Bowl logo was revealed. I don't know if anybody's seen
Ooh.
this.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Pull it up real quick if you can, Mike.
Oh, okay. I wasn't ready.
I can't even think of what it was. It's more like is it in New Orleans, the Super Bowl next year by any chance? Does anybody know? It almost seemed Mardi Gras-ish. There was kind of like gold in there and green and purple. And I don't know if you can pull it up, take a moment to check it out. But that was of course, the controversy going on this year with a lot of people were saying.
Yeah, it is in New Orleans.
People are saying because of the 2 colors involved, that is dictating and who, and they already know and scripted who's going to be in the Super Bowl this year. There's a lot of purple, there's a lot of red, and right now we're stuck with a couple of red teams and a blue and a purple team. So I mean, it falls under the narrative. It's hard to prove or disprove one way or the other. But the new logo is out. New Orleans, as Mike said. What are the colors in that, Mike?
They are. If I have the official one, I think I just now downloaded it. 1 second here. I'll pop it up.
There it goes, Derpy. Can you see that?
No, it's on the side.
Put it right in front of your face, Mike.
Is this it right here?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I was just trying to move it over. This
There
is
we
what
go.
I
We're
found.
good.
So it looks like we're gonna have we can have Baltimore against the Eagles. Could have the
that would be.
Vikings against the Vikings and Jets.
Yeah, Vikings and Jets. I'm sure that'll be it. Well, as bizarre as this season was, maybe I'm
You
not.
could have the
It
battle.
might be
You could have the
possible.
battle of the Achilles heel injuries because if Kirk Cousins resigns with the Vikings,
And Aaron
Cousins
Rodgers.
versus Aaron Rodgers, baby.
The
There it
Achilles
is.
Bowl.
The Achilles unvax bowl because they were both against the back.
Oh, what was
against
Kirk Cousins up against the 2?
Yeah, he won't, but not as much as like Aaron Rodgers was. I think Kurt was like, "Yeah, I'm just not going to get it," and people were like, "Okay, you need to go,"
Yeah.
Raven and Raven. So
So there you go, guys. There's next year's Super Bowl logo. Do what you want with that, but only time will tell.
yeah. So that's I'm right now. I'm calling Vikings Jets.
I think we're probably better off with the Ravens and the Eagles.
I
But you know
think
what?
so.
Who knows? And what a crappy Super Bowl that would be. I mean, the cities are literally about, I don't know, 50 feet from one another. I do not want to see a Baltimore and Philadelphia Super Bowl.
That would be kind of cool though. I'd watch that one.
And of course you would, you butthole. Um, I would much sooner. I would definitely like the Jets and Vikings. But hey, there it is, guys. There was your logo for the Super Bowl for next year. That will be Super Bowl 59. Super Bowl 59. Guys, I do want to talk about these games going down this weekend. Kansas City at Baltimore, Detroit at San Francisco. Mike, there's only X amount of possibilities. These are the four teams that are left. Only two of these teams will be in the Super Bowl. Only one of these teams will be the Super Bowl champion. Give me your 1 through 4 on which you think it has potential to be the Super Bowl champion. One being the best and 4 being the worst. How do you rank these 4 teams with the 4 teams that are remaining?
I'm going Baltimore. Just the way that defense was flying around last week. That's a defense that's feeling it, and that's a defense that can just, they don't even need Lamar. They can just win that on their own. They can get, Trent Dilfer in there and win another Super Bowl. Then I'm gonna go with San Francisco because again, I think they have a really good defense, and we're seeing what that offense can do. 3, Kansas City. It's strange to have them at 3rd, but it's that receiving core. And at any moment they can just stop catching passes like they have all year. It won't be Mahomes or the defense that will let them down. It's going to be that receiving core. And then I have the Lions at 4. Overall they're a solid team. But the offense really doesn't blow you away. The defense really doesn't blow you away, but they make plays to win the game. And I think any 4 of the teams can win, but that's my word.
Darby, what about you? What's your 1 through 4 on these remaining teams between Kansas City, Baltimore, Detroit, and San Francisco? Who do you think is who in your mind is the best team of these 4 teams? I mean, of course, you have 4 pretty damn good teams. One team you have Patrick Mahomes, who seems to do all the right things at the right moments. Baltimore, who right now seems to be the best team in the league, the defense with Lamar Jackson. San Francisco has been one of the strongest teams all season. And Detroit is this solid team that they're on this emotional high. You can't discredit a team that's on the path that Detroit is on. Darby, who do you like? Who's the best team in this pack?
The 49ers. I would go 49ers 1 because they have so many weapons.
Is Debo playing?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Last I saw, he was. They said he was 50-50 whether he's going to play.
Does that alter any of you guys' positioning, Mike? Does that move San Francisco up or down with you if Debo Samuel plays? And Derpy, same with you. Does it affect your
No.
No?
Yeah,
okay.
it doesn't affect me as well, or doesn't affect my rankings either.
Okay. All right, good. Derby, the first team you think is the strongest right now is San Francisco going into championship weekend. Who's the second best team?
I'm actually going to take the Chiefs because they have Patty Mahomes.
Okay.
Regardless of how his team has performed with him.
All right.
Number 3 would be the Ravens, and number 4 would be the Lions.
The Lions keep falling to the bottom of everyone's list.
But it's like
But counting them out, it might motivate them. You never know.
I'm not. I think any 4 team could win, but someone has to be first, someone has to be last in the rankings right now.
And the thing about Detroit, I mean, realistically, in the big picture, who knows if they're ever going to be back in this position ever again. Yes, they're good. It appears they're doing great things with this franchise, turning things around, making this team competitive. But the fact of the matter is, they're never a good team. They have a history of being a bad team. What if this is their window? What if they they don't get where they want to be this year, and that's it for Detroit? Maybe because they are Detroit, their window is only open so much. So I don't know, because 2 years ago, Mike, we went on about this Detroit team. They were building it, and then last year they didn't have a good season. So
yeah,
as much of a difference that is one season. Look how good they are this year compared to last year. So Detroit, they're really tricky for me. It almost feels like it's almost like you have to win because you just don't know if you're ever going to be back. And I think maybe that's the way the people in Detroit feel. A lot of people are feeling confident right now, but I think deep down inside, they're thinking, come on, guys, we're here. Let's win this thing because it's very difficult to get to that point. And if anybody could attest to that, it's Detroit Lions fans.
Yeah, and I think they have like one of the top 5 teams in cap space going into the offseason. So theoretically, the window wouldn't be closed to be able to add to the team. They have a lot of guys on rookie contracts, but getting to this far, getting to the there's no guarantee you can make it back. I asked the Steelers, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's the window I'm talking about.
Yeah, this isn't a team built like like New England was or like Kansas City is. They don't have that guy at quarterback. They got a good guy at quarterback, but they don't have the guy, and it's it's going to be hard to get here. You have to capitalize on this moment, and maybe Detroit is channeling what the 08 Steelers or the 06 Steelers. That team that everyone says shouldn't be in there, but then runs.
That's the vibe I'm getting from these guys.
Yeah.
This is the team that I'm taking to win the Super Bowl. I'm saying Kansas City is my one because of Patrick Mahomes, because he always finds a way to get it done, because to this point, he's never really choked. There's been games that he didn't win the Super Bowl. There's been games he didn't get to the Super Bowl, but he doesn't choke a lot more than he does choke. In these other situations, San Francisco, they found a way to choke since 1995. Baltimore, Baltimore, they're a team that's a lot like Pittsburgh. They could look like the best team and they could have a great game like they had last week, Mike, but they could come out any week and play AFC North football, and that style of football doesn't match up with who it is that we're playing against. And what happens sometimes is we lose games because it's not because we're not good. It's just because our style doesn't match up. And you know what? That happened for 2 decades against this New England Patriots team that we just dealt with for 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
We just didn't match up well with that team. How many of those years were we good? Pretty much all of them. We had a Hall of Fame quarterback. We had great players. There's just teams you don't match up well against. That's what scares me about the Baltimore Ravens, because the AFC North is a certain style. And that's why teams build their team to be like the AFC North teams when you're in the division, because you want to compete in that division. But then you have to go beyond that if you want to be a playoff team, because now you have to play teams outside of your division. I'm telling you, AFC North teams are always tricky, guys. This is one of the most deceiving. This is a very good point of what I'm trying to make, because as I said again, I think Baltimore's playing the best right now. You could all say the defense looked amazing. The offense is 2 things. They had a week to prepare for the team that they just played. They got to sit back at home, prepare, study, strategize, watch this team play a pretty good Cleveland Browns team in the first round. And the other thing is that the Baltimore Ravens could run into a roadblock at any point just because of that AFC North factor. So I don't hold them at the top of my list. I got Kansas City at the top because, again, they are the team that chokes less than everybody else. Detroit is winning my Super Bowl, but I don't have them second on my list. KC first, San Francisco second, Detroit third, Baltimore 4, my 1 to 4. So everybody had different rankings in our 4 teams.
Yeah.
I do have a KC Detroit Super Bowl, and I have Detroit winning this one. So with yours, Mike, you said you want Baltimore and San Fran. That's your Super Bowl?
That's my Super Bowl.
And from what we've seen so far this year, with the exception of the few games that the 49ers laid an egg, which I think were very uncharacteristic in that little period of time, and a few games that Baltimore lost, these have been 2 very solid teams. And from what we've seen in those situations, should be an amazing Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
But it just seems to me that 1-1 is a little too easy
hard
at
to
this
get
point.
Yep.
And and it's
and Baltimore's they're 3-5 in their last 8 playoff games. So like you were saying, man, they have a propensity to trip up and lose.
You're right.
Lamar's only won two playoff games. Yeah, he's only won 2 playoff games. So
it as Kansas City doesn't look real strong. They do have the coaching. They do have the players that's been there, the quarterback that's been there, the tight end that's been there. They experience, and they've made it this far with trimming that team down and losing a lot of those players that they've had over the past couple seasons, and they're still doing what they do? Is it going to get to the point where they're just a little too short? They're just not good enough, or are they going to be able to continue to be that team and find ways to win? And that's going to be the question, guys. I do like Kansas City and I do like Detroit in the Super Bowl. I don't like any of these. I'm lying. I like Detroit a little bit, but the other three teams I could care less for. I could care less about. And again, Detroit, the only reason I like them is it's the underdog story.
Yeah, it's the underdog.
And it's the underdog.
Like I can see any four of these teams winning the Super Bowl, but right now, like just by watching all four teams play, it's Baltimore and San Fran for me.
Baltimore, San Fran, and we are going to do our official picks tomorrow. But Derpy, who right now off the top of your head is your pick? Who is your Super Bowl?
I would like Kansas City and Detroit. Like Mike.
You like Kansas City?
I don't want to see Baltimore and San Francisco.
No, neither do I. Mike, who do you have winning that game?
Well, I'm Baltimore winning that game. That defense is just nuts, and they already beat them earlier this year.
Do you think that they could beat this San Francisco team 2 times in one season?
I think so. We Steelers beat Baltimore 3 times in a row to win in a Super Bowl, and I think Baltimore kind of wants to beat a team twice to win a Super Bowl. Hey, Ron, it wouldn't surprise me, Ron, if the refs do dictate. We've seen it all this year. The refs.
Almost
they want someone to win. If they want someone to win, the refs are going to make it to where someone's going to win.
It's almost a guarantee, because when was the last time you remember watching a big game or the Super Bowl, or just even last week with the playoffs? When was the last time you could remember seeing a game where at the end of the game you weren't saying, I don't
know, it would be like consciously or subconsciously, they'll like be a phantom flag or they'll miss a blatant call.
It'll come down to a bad call, regardless.
I'd like for it to not come down to a bad call for once. I'd like to watch a Super Bowl where it doesn't come down to, what was it last year? The defense of guy for Philadelphia was
Darius Slay.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yanking the jersey.
Don't forget about the Rams and Bengals.
Yeah.
Oh, if the Bengals would have ran the ball, you got Joe freaking Mixon, but we're going to give it to the backup running back. They deserve to lose that Super Bowl.
Why do teams do those kind of things?
It's because they outthink themselves.
Exactly. That's what it is. You can't think a lot of times. Especially in sports.
And that's why the Patriots were so good. They just played the way they were going to play. They never changed. They just kept playing the same game. They did. If you don't have to think, you can't outthink yourself.
All right, guys. Enough about that. Enough of the Ravens, the Chiefs, the 49ers, and the Detroit. A couple of things I'm going to talk about that's unrelated to football, but then we will come back because we do have to do our final grades of the season on this Pittsburgh Steelers team, guys, to see how you felt they performed overall as by position. So we are going to get to that here shortly, guys. Pitt wins last night. Pitt basketball, they win 72-64 over Georgia Tech. Pitt is now at 12-7.
Not bad.
Also for the Brooklyn Nets, a guy named Cam Johnson, who went to Moon Township right up the highway here. He is he's named to the 2024 Paris Olympics basketball player poll. So there's 41 guys right now that's on this list that's possibly going to be going to play in the Olympics in Paris. And he is one. Puff Cam Johnson, forward out of Moon Township. Remember, he was playing with North Carolina for a while, Mike.
Yeah. Yep.
And so he has a chance to go to the Olympics. Nice. So that'll be awesome to see from him. Also, Derpy, we have been making some moves here with the Buccos. They bring in Aroldis Chapman just 2 days ago. Now the talk is Noah Syndergaard. I don't really know.
I saw that too, Ryan.
He's the Bucs are considering, and he's considering, and I don't know if they talked yet. But if this tells you anything about the Pirates, and I even shudder to say that because you know what these guys do. But that tells you at least that they're trying. They're trying to get quality players. And what did we say all season long last year? You need more starting pitching. You don't go anywhere without good starting pitching in pro baseball. And in the major leagues, it just doesn't happen. You look at the teams that are playing in October. These teams all have really good pitching. We have a nice start with Mitch Keller. You bring in somebody like this, maybe another guy, because you got to remember in that rotation that we had 10 years ago, you had AJ Burnett, you had Liriano and Cole. You have those three main guys, and then you have two other decent guys. And and that's as good as it's going to get for the Pirates. You're not going to get much more than that. So, again, call me crazy for being optimistic, but I think these are good moves, guys. It's a good sign.
Yeah, like he comes here, it's going to be a reclamation project.
Yeah.
Yeah, because last year his ERA was like an 8 something, I think it was.
We had a guy that threw a 39-mile-per-hour fastball last year. This is an upgrade,
I know. Hey, this is the upgrade, baby. It's an upgrade. I'm not saying there's not a downside to it, but it's a little upgrade. But you know what? If they can get him in, and he can fix what
he's a bit injury prone.
Yeah, but I'm not going to expect him to come back to like his peak form. But if he, become a serviceable pitcher, you know what? That's the best we can hope for as a Pirates fan.
I agree, and as I said, I think that the
they are a farm team.
The bigger picture is that it's a good sign that we're making more moves. We're not just going into the season, going with what we got, going with the team that we have. I hate that, because if you stink for so long and you continue to go with the team that you have, and you have faith and you trust that this team is going to do well, you're crazy. I like the fact that they are making moves. They're bringing guys. It's unfortunate that we lose Endy Rodriguez, the catcher, for the season.
Yeah.
It's just, if that isn't Pyre luck, it's the same thing that happened with O'Neal Cruz last season, and you hate to see it.
But he's the X factor.
He is the X factor. I cannot wait to see O'Neal Cruz at shortstop. It's going to be very interesting, guys. I think this season will be slightly better than last year. Maybe
we only lose 90.
Maybe be an arm's length of the second or first. I don't know. Again, it just, when it turns bad, it turns so bad. We were 20-8 last year at one point,
and then it just went off,
and then it collapsed.
And then we
finished. Bucko fans and Bucko media were tooting their horns, and then you finish in last place. So we know we have here, but that is my my crazy optimism for the day. I just remember Derpy all season long kept saying, "Hey, it's a long season. A month left in the season. It's a long season. They can turn it around."
Yeah, Derpy was optimistic all the way to the end.
He was optimistic for the Buckeyes.
It was like, it's 162 games, and we hung in there, Derpy, but at the end of the day, you know how it's going to turn out with the Pirates. You just know.
Yeah,
we're going to have one good month. Everyone's going to think we're this is going to be turning it around, and then we turn back into the
one of those first 3 months are usually really good for the Pirates. You know what I mean? It's either the first month gets everybody's hopes up, and then they go, it's all downhill, or the second month, it's kind of in the middle where you're like, okay, we're into the second month of baseball and they're playing good, or right before the All-Star break. And then they lose like 7 to go into the All-Star break. And then they come out and they win 5, and you get your hopes back up. So we will see. Guys, we do got to do our end of the season Steeler grading. This is going to be, as we do every week for, when we play, how did the guys perform that particular week? We're going to go position by position, get your grades on how you felt the position overall performed this season in its entirety. Through the good times, through the bad times, through everything. So got to put your thinking caps on. This is just not one game. This is over a duration of an NFL season. You guys ready for this, Derpy? You ready?
I'm ready.
Mike, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Mike, I'm going to start with you. And I want to know how you feel, what you would grade if you was the teacher. You had the red pen in your hand right now. You were sitting at your desk, and you had to grade the quarterback room of the Pittsburgh Steelers for the 2023 season. How would they do?
C-.
Ooh,
that's fair.
You said
that's
quarterbacks,
fair.
right? You said quarterbacks.
That's fair.
Yeah, C-. Oh, it was we know what Mitch is. Mitch is
Mitch was the only failure, So if Mason was an A and Mitch was an F and Kenny was a C, I think that equals around to a C. I mean that averages out at about a C.
Yeah.
That's what I get. Ron on the board says a D. Derpy, I'm going to come to you. What do you give this quarterback room for their performance on the 2023 season? Again, Mason comes out, does some really great things. Mitch Trubisky come out and did absolutely nothing. Kenny rode that average line that he rides. What do you give this quarterback room?
I'm gonna be a bit generous. I'm gonna go B minus.
B minus. All right. So we got a B minus, a C minus, and a D. So if you take that, it averages out to a C.
They helped.
Correct.
All the quarterbacks helped us win.
Except Mitch.
10
Still don't have
10
that guy,
games.
though.
We got a 10-win season out of that.
You're right. And you know what? 10-7 is not bad, regardless of what a lot of people say.
No, it's not.
What a lot of people say, 10-7 is not a bad season, and what a lot of people still at this point say the Steelers were. I think 10-7 in a playoff appearance was not too bad.
Yeah, if you say this team's terrible and they make the playoffs, that means they exceeded your expectations.
Right. They weren't terrible. They weren't terrible.
No.
We're going to go to the running backs next, guys. The running back room now. Najee Harris. I don't want this to influence your thinking, but he is the only Pittsburgh Steeler running back ever to come and run 1,000 yards in his first 3 seasons in Pittsburgh. Jaylen Warren certainly picked up the slack on his side.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what are these running backs? What do you grade these guys?
From start to finish, I'm gonna give them a solid B plus because there were times there where Najee wasn't looking too great, and then Jalen had that game where he had fumble issues, but solid B plus.
Derpy, the running backs.
A minus because Jaylen Warren still gave me a high five.
Oh, that's right.
see now you're letting the students bribe you. Okay.
And then
No,
Ron on the board.
I'll go with the B plus.
Ron on the board says B plus as well, so I think that's pretty fair. You know what? They had a pretty good running season, considering there are some positions on that offensive line that need improvement. I think that they had a pretty damn good season running the ball. Guys, let's move to the tight end spot. This next position is your Pat Freiermuth. It's your Darnell Washington. It's Connor Hayward. Mike, what do you give the tight ends?
I'm gonna go C plus. Pat Fry was out for a chunk of the season, so that's gonna affect the grade. But we saw when he was healthy and when he was in there, how he can affect the game. We saw what Darnell Washington is. I think he might be like a Mark Bruner type tight end where he's not going to catch you a lot of balls, but when he can, something might happen. But he's like that extra offensive lineman. So, yeah, C plus.
Derpy, what do you think about the tight ends?
B minus.
All right, there you have it. I didn't think the tight ends did anything special this year. I don't, there was a game or two. Exactly, Ron on the board, so they were hardly used until they figure out a way to implement the tight ends more into the offense. This is going to be a hard call to make. Mike made a valid point on Washington. He seems to be doing really well in the blocking. Pat Freiermuth, he did have 1 or 2 big games this year where I could recall where I would say he looked really well. But again, it's kind of an underutilized. It's almost an incomplete grade, guys, because there's not a lot there to go off of. And again, you should have a little bit more to go off of when you're talking about your tight ends. Yeah. Guys.
Hopefully the new OC realized we have a pretty special tight end.
Wide receivers. Now we're talking George Pickens. We're talking Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, Calvin Austin III. Mike, what do you give this receiving core for this season? Think about the season. It had its ups, it had its downs.
Yep. It had
problems with these receivers. What do you give these wide receivers?
I'm gonna go B minus. George Pickens had better numbers than Devontae Adams, and people want to say he's still a top flight receiver. Johnson he got better as second half of the year once
he got that first touchdown after 3 seasons.
Yeah,
he then started to resemble. He started to resemble a decent wide receiver. I could agree to that.
And then Calvin Austin, when he had chances, he flashed. A little let down from Allen Robinson. I think he was underutilized though, or he just might be hitting that wall. He's been in the league for a while.
I think he kind of
Miles Boykin was a great special teamer, so you know what? B minus.
I think Allen Robinson kind of fell into that he was he wasn't utilized. They
Yeah.
didn't do
He
anything with
wasn't.
him.
Yeah,
You know,
later in the year he started catching
and
more
it wasn't. I
balls.
mean, we were having these issues with the quarterbacks and finding their
Yeah.
receivers and getting, and he was just he was a victim of the circumstance. I would
Yeah.
have to say
Yep.
with him, and he won't be back. But Rod on the board says B minus. Too much drama between with Pickens and Deontay. I couldn't agree more. That would certainly weigh into my overall grading if I was doing the grades as well. Derpy, what do you think about the wide receivers? What do you give these guys?
I'm just gonna say A because Deontay Johnson did something instead of going backwards.
So much,
I
yeah.
want Derpy
No, I'm
to
just kidding.
do my
I'll go with
grades.
the B as well. I'm just
These guys are being
I'm just
awfully
being
generous
Derpy.
today. As I do have to say that. But again,
I am not being generous at all.
10-7, slightly better than average. Slightly
They
better
did
than,
better than I thought they would.
yeah. All right, guys, that takes us to the offensive line. Mike, this offensive line, you know the deal. You know the story.
I know
18 games, 17 games, 18 weeks. What do you give this offensive line?
Because they really picked it up the second half of the year. Pass protection and run blocking. God, B minus.
I think the thing is about that offensive line, you got a few studs on there, but you also got a few duds on that offensive line as well.
Yeah.
I think an improvement in this offseason could go a long way because you see what bringing in Ciamalo and bringing in Broderick Jones did just from last year to this year to the offensive line. You make another big move or two on the line.
Yeah.
I think this offensive line is going to be pretty good. Derpy, offensive line.
I'm gonna go B.
B, and Ron on the board says A minus. So there you go.
Yeah, they improved so much
Meyer.
from oh my god, once they put in Broderick Jones at right tackle.
All right, guys, we're going to jump to the other side of the ball. Defensive line, Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi. You know the crew. Mike, what do you give this defensive line for their performance of the 2023 season?
C minus, and most of that is for the one guy who's uplifting that grade was Keelan Benton.
Okay.
Yeah, like Ogunjobi and Cam were busts this year, and like some of the role players weren't that bad. Weren't great either.
Derpy, the defensive line.
A D because Cam won't take a pay cut.
Preach it, brother.
But as far as their performance overall, though, would you still give them a D?
It's about a C.
All right. You and Ron both always on the board says C as well. Guys, linebacker core. You know how it went. They were dropping like flies. We had a nice core going into the season with Quan Alexander, with Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts, the whole crew. How do you think that they performed with everything that went down?
With everything that went down, it you could say A. You could say A, how they were able to survive this and still play well. But I'm going B plus. They out the edge rushers running defense left a lot to be desired, and some of the inside backers pass coverage. Of course, that's as they felt like flies, we're getting guys off the count. You saw the pass coverage go down in the middle.
Derpy, linebackers.
With everything that went down, they originally I would say they were at an A level, but with everything that went down, I would say B minus.
All right. Ron says C. Guys, secondary. We excuse me. We clump our secondary together. We don't do it by corners and safeties. How do you feel, guys, that the secondary did overall? Levi Wallace, the injuries at the one safety position, both safety positions. But you got to think Joey Porter, what he did. Mike, what do you think about this secondary?
I am going to go with a C.
That's a what?
A C.
Okay.
A C.
Patrick Peterson getting burned,
but he came up and he would make some plays. Joey Porter became a shutdown corner. Trenton Thompson, he came up out of nowhere. Eric Rowe came out of nowhere. They were solid contributors.
So these couple of things are keeping your grade afloat compared to a lot of the bad things that happened.
Well, then I know there's a lot of bad things that happened.
Yeah.
But there were some good things that happened too. It's just, as Steeler fans, we tend to remember the bad things more than the good. C minus.
They definitely didn't blow me away. I can tell you that.
They didn't blow me away.
I thought the
Joey Porter
secondary was.
did.
See,
But
Yeah,
I'm not
Porter
even
did.
blown away by him. I feel that they were average at best. But Derpy secondary.
I'm gonna give him a C, just a C,
All right.
average C.
On the board, Mike needs help. Mike needs help, Ron. He doesn't have help. Next, guys, special teams. Chris Boswell.
Boz was Boz.
Harvin.
Harvin was
Boz.
Harvin. Killer Brew was Killer Brew.
Killebrew, the blocked field goals, the blocked punts, the
smart 2 penalties.
The smart play down on the sideline
by Iggy. Iggy became a pretty good returner.
A 22-yard punt basically every game by the punter. Guys, a lot went
followed by a 50-yarder, followed by a 40-yarder.
So, Mike, you know, do what you got to do to justify, but I need your grade.
No, I'm just saying that he was.
We were running out of time.
All over the place. I'm gonna go with a C.
All right, Derpy, special teams.
B minus because Wizard of Boz.
All right, there you go. Coaching, guys. This is top to bottom. This is your head coach. This is your offensive coordinator. This is your defensive coordinator. This is special teams. This is the guy that wraps your foot when you get. Yeah, come on, coaching, Mike. What do you think?
Oh, I'm going to B plus. They outperformed my expectations. The team got a whole hell of a lot better once the offensive coordinator went away. There were ebbs and flows this year in this coaching staff. And for some of the decisions by the head coach were bonehead, but also some pretty good ones too. So, B minus.
All right, Derpy.
Talk myself into a B minus.
Coaching.
B minus.
All right, and finally, guys, overall, I need your overall grade of the Pittsburgh Steelers for 2023. All the goods, all the bads, all the ebbs, all the flows, all the drips, all the drabs. I need your final grade. At the very end of the year, you get that report card to see if you pass and move on to the next year. I need that. Mike, final grade overall, Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you think?
I'm going C plus.
All
C
right.
plus. They outperform my expectations.
Derpy.
B minus because DJ did something.
I hate you.
All right.
I hate you so much.
And Ron on the board says C minus. So there you go, guys. That is our final grades of the Pittsburgh Steelers 2023 season. I think they're pretty, they were fair. I don't think anybody went outside the box too much. It was pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
Slightly better than an average football season, I thought, and a lot of ups and downs throughout the season. It was a roller coaster. Mike, why don't you go and tell everybody about the website, bud?
Dumyinzers.com, the2dumyinzers.com. Got the blog over there, got the merch store over there, got all of our social links over there. That's about it. With the blog, once that one gets heated back up again, will be I decided it's going to be focusing on drafts. On the draft.
There you go, everybody. Go check it out. www.the2dumyinzers.com. That's www.the2dumyinzers.com. Also on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Threads. Go check it out. We are everywhere. Guys, it is time for some trivia for the day. Again, this is just general knowledge NFL this week. The building up, getting ready to go to the Super Bowl. We'll get more into Super Bowl type questions next week. Guys, general NFL. Are you ready for some trivia?
I am ready.
All right, Derpy. You
ready? I'm ready.
Here we go. What team drafted Johnny Unitas? What team drafted Johnny Unitas? Of course, everybody knows Johnny U. He was from the Western Pennsylvania area. He goes on to have a great career with the Baltimore Colts. So go ahead and think that over, guys. We are live 5 days a week right here, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And also the show that we do live every day, a brand new show. We do upload over on Spotify and podcast form at 8 o'clock p.m. Maybe you might not have a chance to watch the show. Maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're in the car and you can only listen. Go over to Spotify, 8 o'clock to hear the brand new show uploaded every day. Spotify, go check it out. All right, guys, the question of the day is this. What team drafted Johnny Unitas? I don't have choices for you, but I'm going to start with Derpy. Derpy, who do you think drafted Johnny U, the great quarterback? Did I just hear him asking? Oh, AI GPT.
I think he did. I think Derpy is trying to influence this somewhat.
Hmm.
Ron on the board says Green Bay. If that helps you out at all.
That's what I was thinking.
Ron says Green Bay. You want to go with Green Bay, or do you want to?
I want to go with Green Bay.
You do want to go with Green Bay?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to lock you in on that. Is that your final answer?
Yep.
All right, there you go. Mike, what team drafted Johnny Unitas? Ron on the board says Green Bay. Derpy agrees with him. Green Bay. Who drafted him?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Pittsburgh Steelers. Interesting. Is that your final answer?
Yep, final answer.
All right, I'll lock you in. What team drafted Johnny Unitas? A couple of the guys said Green Bay. Mike says the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The answer on this, guys, of course, is the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted Johnny Unitas.
Yep.
So there you go. Do want to say thank you to everybody for checking us out. We appreciate each and every one of you. Everybody on the board, you always keep it interesting. Everybody at home watching. We wouldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. Mike, you got anything before we get ready to take off, man?
Yeah. Tennessee Titans just hired Brian Callahan as their head coach. He's coming over from the Cincinnati Bengals. He was their offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So the Bengals are now going to need an offensive coordinator. We need an offensive coordinator, and I know they were rumored, like one of the rumors was if he left, Zach Robinson, they're going to reach out to him as well to take an interview.
Ron says, well, I feel stupid. Hey, it's better to feel stupid than to look stupid. Ask Mike, right, Mike?
What did I do today? I have been pleasant all episode.
Derpy, anything before we get ready to take off, brother?
Bucko Fever is coming.
All right, Derpy's getting the feeling, baby. 162 games, right?
162 games, yes, sir.
Mine is this: Dan Kamen. Dan Kamen. Of course, everyone knows the Carnegie Science Center in Pittsburgh. It is getting renamed because Dan Kamen, who was a big fan of the Science Center and science his whole life, he donated $65 million to the Science Center. It's going to change the name of it with his name included, of course. So it won't be long that the Carnegie Science Center name will be changed, guys. So
and it will still be called the Carnegie Science Center.
Exactly. So remember that when you're putting it in your GPS. It might tell you otherwise, but it's always going to be Carnegie Science Center to us here in Pittsburgh. Anything else, guys? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Nothing.
Derpy?
Let's go Pens.
All right, there you go. Penguins will be back in action on Friday. But we do want to thank everybody once again for checking us out. For Mike in the Steelers Central mobile studio, Derpy, myself, everyone have a great day.